Hi, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another interesting episode on the show. And today we'll be talking about, alternative careers in medicine for those of us who are tired of the bedside. And today I have an interesting guest with me in the studio, Dr. Moyo, and he'll be sharing his experience with us, how he managed to transition from, seeing patients and now doing something else still within the clinical or hospital environment. So, Dr. Moyo, happy to meet you. Good evening.
Good evening, Dr. Ram. It's my pleasure being here, and also to share my story if it can inspire anyone,
Yeah,
and also inform anyone who is also looking to, do other things aside bedside, bedside
medicine.
as you mentioned, Dr. Ram. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much for giving us some of your time tonight, and we'll try to make the most out of it. So I usually like starting from the backstory. So where did it all begin? At what point did you decide that I'm done with bedside, I'm moving to something else?
So that's might be a long story, but I will cut it short. So. Leaving medical school, I really wanted to be able to influence change on you know, on a scale.
Yeah.
And as such, it's always been what has been driving my various experiences. So, graduated a couple of years ago, I think like 15 years ago, and I um, practiced clinically for like 5 years,
Okay.
where I worked both in the public and the private sector. I, at that time, also was thinking about, pushing my professional, trajectory in medicine itself. I was considering mental health actually.
Okay.
And at some point, I think, not being able to do what you want to do might just make you think broadly. So
Hmm.
at that point, I was also trying to figure out, okay, what else have can I do? Um, at that point, I'd been an event organizer.
Interesting.
I had done work in the development space, working with um, young people. In fact, I
Right.
think back in 2011, I was doing a weekly Twitter chats with young people
Okay.
about reproductive health issues. And, that lasted for a couple of years. And so at that point, I spoke to a couple of friends and I made a very daring move. I opted out of the clinical space to start an entrepreneurship venture back in Abuja then. And that's, I mean, first question is, what's the medical doctor looking, running
Oh,
a food delivery business? So it's like the um, delivery Uber Eats, whereby you make
okay.
um, an order on a platform and then your food gets delivered to you. So we control that end to end. So
Okay.
I ran that for a couple of, I think like 3 years, and now decided that okay, I need to get back into health care space. And the opportunity that opened for me then was quite in line with my vision, which was in financial services, specifically in health insurance. And, like I said, make significant impact on a scale. And,
Hmm.
insurance, you're able to get people to have affordable quality healthcare with, I mean, affordable health quality healthcare, basically, really. So, and I was in that career path for like another 5 years. Following that, I mean, I rose to a senior manager level, And following that, I did a year of consulting in health financing.
Mm-hmm.
And um, I mean, after that, then I was able to um, upskill myself with an MBA at the Warwick University. And following that was the question, what next? So, um, in between the MBA and the clinical parts, I've been
Yeah.
involved in technology. I've been involved with sales. I've been involved with um, health insurance tech development. So I was sitting between a doctor, a clinical, I mean, being a clinical person, being a business administrator and quote
Mm-hmm.
unquote entrepreneur, and also a tech person. And to marry that intersection, I had to own my skills in, business analysis, which is basically understanding the needs of a business and
Yeah.
also using technology to solve it. So it's perfectly fits all the things I've been doing. And, by the time I actually just uh, what's it called? Applied for the job. I was able to get a role, and
Mm-hmm.
it's quite interesting because what I'm doing as a business change manager is to implement an APR system
Okay.
for a NHS trust. So, which is the biggest digital transformation project that they've embarked on. And
Yeah.
it's quite fascinating for me because I sit in the intersection of technology, people, and process, of which all the three I had expertise in using my previous experience. So
Mm-hmm.
I think in short, that's the transition, my journey to being a business change manager.
That's quite an interesting journey, really. I mean, looking at how you've narrated the whole timelines, the different activities, your different roles you've taken that led up to this point. Basically it begins to look as if, there are skill sets you've picked along the way that sort of prepared you for these roles. Are there any key ones you probably want to highlight that you think are so relevant in your current role at the moment?
I think two skills really, problem solving and adaptability. And here's
Mm,
why. Um, the medical training is actually a training in problem solving, right? You gather a lot of data um, previous to you meeting your client, and
mhm,
you have a conversation with the client, understand the problem, frame the problem properly, have some differential diagnosis that it may be this, it may be that, and then
yeah.
now have a plan on really identifying the core problem of this person, whether voiced or not voiced.
Mhm,
So and then you are able to now profile solution based on your historical knowledge or new knowledge you need to research into. So that really helps because when you're talking to business owners or individuals that have problems or challenging, you really
yeah.
want to understand what the problem is because that's like a huge step in even solving it. So that is one skill. Another skill is adaptability. So of course, still talking about the training of a medical
Of course.
student, yeah, you are put in different specialties to learn in different specialties during your clinical years. Following that, as an apprentice, that's the house officer position,
Mhm,
you are also put in a real situation being supervised in different skills, in different specialties, I mean. So, you had a gynae rotation this time. You had so invariably you are actually, developing your skill of adapting to different situations because there are peculiarities for all those subspecialties. So I
Mm-hmm.
think those two key skills are quite important to, to transitioning, and have been still quite helpful, because when you are talking to, for example, a doctor in the ED regarding a change in their process or to just
Yeah,
analyze their process, it's you need to really understand what is really the problem being said and what is the
yeah,
problem not being said.
said,
So
yeah,
those are the skills, and then communication skill, people skills, which I learned, of course, as a doctor, you learn that. And over the years in my various, career points, I've also had the opportunity to own that skill as well. So um, I think those are the ones that really jump to mind at the moment.
yeah. Thanks for highlighting those, skills: problem solving, adaptability, communication, then people skills. Like I usually tell people that we as doctors, or some people call us ex-doctors, whatever it is, that there are a lot of transferable skills that you can move from the clinical part of medicine into whatever role you're looking to get into the future, really. So I mean, every transition is not devoid of challenges, right? So
Mhm.
what's your biggest challenges so far in this transition process, and how did you manage to navigate those challenges?
Um, so uh, major challenge has actually been perception, so to speak, how to manage
Okay.
perception and also how to, understand industry jargon. In my current role as business manager, um, a lot of people will be looking at you like, okay, you are a doctor, we need a lot of doctors, and you are a sellout, so to speak. And they it might come with a bit of distrust, right? In the sense that, are you really working for us, or are you really into this work, or you're just looking for money, right? So, but being able to manage that perception has been quite key, into like, come, I understand what you're feeling, I understand what you're going through, I understand, you know how this process is not working for you, I understand your frustrations. So that has, been able to help me to communicate better, like, what exactly is this person thinking, and I'm able to manage that. Okay,
Mhm.
so secondly, of course, when you get into a particular arena that you've not been to, it might be difficult to understand their language. And
Yeah.
for me now, it's not much of a struggle because it's project-based role, right? And in my previous experiences in the health insurance, in the consulting, and also in the entrepreneurship, I've been able to get some of this jargon. So it's not been too bad at the moment,
Okay.
right? Um, but there are still specifics to every organization. What everybody know as EOW is different from, might be
Yeah.
something else for another one. So the acronyms can really make you like lose your confidence initially. But I think it's just it will just be initial few weeks and you'll be able to get in the groove because the
Hmm.
doggedness of a doctor is quite also important. And you're like, no, it's easy peasy. You can easily remember acronyms. You've been
Yeah.
using acronyms since
For a long time.
what's that? She tried to catch me, tried to I found,
Medical school has
remember
been.
exactly the wrist bones.
Yeah.
Yeah, scaphoid. I can't remember, but I don't know. She looks too pretty. Try to catch her or something. Yeah. So, but you've been using acronyms all this while, so it's easy to learn. So I think um, people will really be all right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I totally agree with you. You know, that part of where you talked about managing perception, it's something I also sort of experience all the time. Really, oh, he's a doctor and he's a business analyst. What are you doing here? Are you not supposed to be saving lives? We need more doctors, and you people are living the
Right.
practice. I mean, but everybody has the liberty to choose what their career path is going to ultimately
That's
you
true.
know, look like
That's true.
exactly. So, yeah, I agree with you. You constantly have to manage that perception. At times, I'm asked, is this thing just a temporary thing you are doing, maybe to buy time, and now go back to the hospital or something? I'm like, no, this is what I'm doing. So you guys shouldn't stress me at all. So it's an ever recurring thing. So we just get to
Yeah.
manage it anyway you know and looking back to my own you know journey too. I mean, there are some times where you get to feel, is this the right decision? Am I really making a mistake or something? Did you ever encounter that, limiting
Um,
your practice and jumping into an unknown area?
uh, I did experience it, and I think it will be in two career points. One is when I got into entrepreneurship. I was just fresh out of clinicals then, and it was very difficult,
Okay.
right? Because trying to learn new things, I started doubting myself. It was quite difficult, but um it's also good when you are in company of good hands who also understand the challenges you are facing. So, and then you can openly communicate with them to like, okay, I don't understand this. It will be good to be able to be vulnerable. I don't understand this. Okay, why do we
Yeah.
have to do a project plan? Why do we have to do A/B testing? Is it,
Yeah.
all those kind of things. So it will take a lot to, you know, um, research more, read more. So you need to push yourself more because you are in an unfamiliar territory. It's just like, you are being pushed into water now. You can decide to just sink, or you can decide to just do any hand movement that can help you. And,
Yeah.
peradventure, you have read about, doing something before and like, okay, yeah, this is what they said. And then you're able to get it and then you survive. So I think it was pretty difficult at that point. Secondly was when I started managing people. um Now, the in the clinical part, it was clinical, hospital is more like military, if I might
Yeah.
use that word. It's more like,
Word.
oh,
Yeah.
you do this, and you know whereas, when you're dealing with people, you they might you can't be as if you want to bring the best out of people you're managing, you need to be able to inspire them to action rather than telling them, what to do
Do
and what
this.
not
Yeah.
to do. And I had an example when I was a regional manager at a health insurance firm, and I had to. I could say for myself that I was good at what I did
Hmm.
before getting there. So I wanted people to just, like, this is what you do, blah blah blah. But it had. I was getting frustrated because I think they are not picking it up. Because I felt I wanted them to do things my way, right? It
Your
was more
way.
like micromanaging. And so I had a conversation with a mentor then who spoke to me and said that you need to drop that mentality that, okay, everybody must do this. People have unique skill sets.
Yeah.
Once you can focus on the goal, let people be creative on how to achieve it. And that actually blew my mind and changed my leadership style.
Yeah. Hmm.
So Following that, I organized a retreat
Okay.
in that region. Told people to, tell me what they think we can improve. No holds barred and various things. And people said a lot of things,
Mm.
and based on that, I was able to take a lot of feedbacks
Okay.
because they said a lot of things that I didn't even expect that. So I changed a lot of things, my approach especially, and I could say that, and then under the guidance of my mentor to keep on improving on my different approaches that I was using. I was able to turn around, performance in the region. It was
Mm.
actually mind blowing for myself, and so that those are the two areas that I feel like could be a bit problematic. But right now, I'm beginning to I've grown so much that, and I'm still growing to
Yeah,
understand,
absolutely.
how to deal with, various actors in wherever you're working, really.
Hmm. So that's quite insightful because like most of these roles really, you see a lot of them focusing more on the people skills, team working, collaboration, interpersonal skills, and all of that. They don't really
Yeah,
focus on the technical part because they believe, okay, you can pick that on the job and all of that. But that
exactly.
ability to blend into the environment, work cohesively with people is what really matters to
Yeah.
a lot of them. So sometimes I now see people who are, very good technically, but on this side, they are not a good fit. And, they keep
Exactly.
getting those rejection emails. We are sorry, we are sorry.
Exactly.
And when they ask for feedback, these are the kind of things they sort of hear from them.
Exactly.
And I too, I had to personally also learn to and unlearn some
Hmm.
things because, like you said, coming from doctor side, you write your orders, you expect them to be followed, do this, do this, do this. There is very little room for dialogue and all of those
Hmm.
things. So it's just doctor is the head. Yes, everybody must listen to
Hmm.
whatever he has given out. But when you come to this other side, it's a different ball game entirely.
Hmm.
Everybody needs to have a voice. Everybody has to contribute so that
Hmm.
everything really sort of moves on very smoothly. So
Yeah.
looking back at your journey now, if somebody was to make this decision now, what word of advice would you be telling them to look out for or things they should do from your experience?
From my experience, I think reflecting back, I first of all, one needs to identify your skills, your core skills, right?
Okay.
Aside the fact, I mean, we've talked about we being, thought about problem solving.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so you need to be able to identify, is this exactly what, am I good with this? And, where can I apply this? What area also, fits this bill? For example, currently you have identified a lot of, people within the healthcare space that struggle with their career, in the sense that a lot of them feel trapped or
Yeah.
feel that, what other things can I do?
Can I do? Yeah.
Yeah, so, and then you are able to educate them. These are the possibilities, and bring people to also speak on that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think first of all is to identify, what skills you have, what are you good at, and what do you have passion for, right? So once you are able to, speak on those three areas, then you need to also talk to people, right?
Okay.
It's good that you have mentors early on, even when you are in university or just out of it. Interestingly, um, understanding that problem solving skill was what I was being taught in medical school was was revealed to me by a mentor when I finished.
Mm-hmm.
So then it was just cram this and give a diagnosis. But on a higher level, when you look at it, it's actually problem solving being used in the clinical setting. So talking to mentors, talking to people who have had, experiences in what you've done, this like even listening to this podcast is, a good avenue to like, okay,
Yeah.
what are there or what are possibilities out there? What are problems out there that needs to be solved? And you just need to even Google now to look at what are the possibilities in the next 10 years and next 20 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of course, healthcare worker shortage is a
A
big
big
problem,
thing.
right? So, what are the potential things that can be done, right? Even in the areas of technology, what are the ways technology can solve various problems? Even the healthcare crisis that we might soon get, or we're already in it actually, healthcare workers crisis. So it's just to be able to keep reflecting on what are the possible things, and you know you are able to now identify either from what speaks to you more, and then from there you just chase it and keep on chasing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you. That's part of, finding what your skill set or what you're really good at is quite important. Like for myself, I know I did a lot of gallivanting before I finally sort of settled. And I tried coding. There was a particular time I wrote the code for, I think, about 5 hours. The code did not run, you know. I had to call somebody to just have a look at what I was doing. And he just quickly scanned through and, picked a dot, say, remove that dot from that place. And I took it out and the code ran. I was like, okay, well, that's fine. This is the end of me and coding. So you
I had a
you guys
similar
can
experience too.
you guys can continue. So, but the basics, yes, I'm fine with understanding the basics of coding, but to do it full time, so I sort of moved around until I found, okay, I think this is where I really want to settle, and it sort of helps too. Then that's part of mentorship too. It's really a big one too, because that's a very big gap a lot of people don't sort of have, and that's also part of the reason why I actually do this, look for people who are doing stuff like this, get them to sort of share their experience, because again, mentorship doesn't have to be direct mentorship, really. I
That's
mean,
true.
listening to people share their experience should be sort of enough guide or something to you. Then you can, probably reach out to them or something for further insights or whatever the case may be. So looking at if you look at your transition now, will you say it has been beneficial? Some people would say, yes, they have better work-life balance now. Yes, I don't have to be on call anymore. Nobody has to call me out to come and do emergency CS and, all of those things. Or I work from home full time or something like that. So from your own experience, what's been like your greatest benefits?
um Well, first speaking about, you don't have to be on call anymore. That could sound appealing. Um,
Mhm.
but I remember when I was working in health insurance, that you're on call 24/7. And it's not that, have to be, a client can just call you. You might decide to pick it, you might decide not to pick it, but there are some calls you see that you have to pick,
You have to pick,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, so I remember I was even in a particular hospital to 3 a.m.
Mm,
One time like that in Abuja, like on a
wow.
Saturday,
Wow.
on a Saturday. So yeah, but it's a reason to want to have any change of a change of what's it called? Yeah, work by life balance is better. Um, and you are able to have a proper structure to your life, devote time for work if you're doing 9 to 5, and devote
Hmm.
time to other things. because
Mm-hmm.
definitely you still have your, things you have vision for, that, both your work and your vision will still, meet somewhere, in future.
Yeah.
So work-life balance has been good. And I think the um the vastness of possibilities out there is also um quite interesting for me, because I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, there are so many things I can do, right? There are so many things I can do, and I'm not sure whether I don't have ADHD or but the thing is, I try to see what I can pursue to further my goal, right?
Okay.
Like I said, if you look at it from clinicals to entrepreneurship, there's a larger reach. To health insurance, there's a larger reach, to use even this technology implementation, there's even a much largerly, what's it called, reach. So that for me is what, you know, might
Mm-hmm.
be quite exciting for me. Like, yeah, I need to reach my goal. This will help me reach my goal. This will help me, and then that will probably inform my decision anytime.
Okay. That
Yeah.
that's great. Then you mentioned that you did an MBA somewhere along the line. So would you say that that MBA has been quite impactful on what you're doing now? Or would you say in hindsight there was really no need for the MBA? Because most times some of the questions I get is, must I really do a master's, to do this job? Is it absolutely required for me to get an MBA or an MPH or whatever MSc just to be able to, deliver on this role or something?
Okay, so honestly, depending on what you want to do, but for a change manager, you really don't need to do an MBA to do it. I think you just have to be, a business analyst, then a business or change analyst, and
Okay.
then which is also like a business analyst, then become a business manager and a change manager. So however, my MBA has actually been quite impactful on me personally.
Okay.
Um, we've had, I mean, I was in a senior role prior to the MBA, and I could say that it was an eye opener for me, basically.
Mm,
But one of my most important models was actually leadership, and
okay.
that transformed me as a person, right? And um it's still an ongoing learning process, because I still even refer to some of the things I learned during that process. And
Yeah.
and again, you have operational management, you have strategy within your MBA, and this is borrowing from case studies from across
Okay.
the world. So it enriches your experience,
Mm,
right? For example, I think during our strategy sessions, we had to look at a hospital in India who is
okay.
providing specialized cardiology care to millions of people. From India, they've internationalized to, I think, the UAE, the US, and probably soon will be in the UK. So it's you need to know where you're going to be able to determine whether a master's in this would, enhance you or not. But,
Mm-hmm.
for most of these roles, there are other pathways, like
Okay.
get a business analyst
Certification.
apprenticeship or certification that will put you on the track already. And, maybe when you grow, if you're still a bit early stage in career, that might be a what's it called for you. That might be a better route for you. For me, I did an MBA after 12 years post
Mm.
qualification.
So
So
long gap.
it was the right time for me to do it then. So I think yes, if you're still in early stage, you might not need to go for it. But if you've advanced a bit, you might just decide, okay, look at MBA, look at other masters, and then go for it. But I don't think an MPH will be quite ideal for a business change role, right? Because public health around here, you might not be able to. I really don't know the curriculum of MPH, but it's a master's in public health, right?
Yeah.
So, what you might be interested more will probably not revolve around process change in hospital settings and different
Hmm.
areas. You might be more involved with policy, and it would not be on track for the business change route. So, yeah, personally, the MBA was quite impactful to my story. And but if you're still in early stage, I don't think you need
An
a
MBA.
master's degree or MBA to go into business change track.
Mm, that's interesting. Thank you for that insight. Then, in terms of career progression, because I get this question a lot, because when I speak with people, say, okay, these are the things you probably can do. If you do this, you can consider this and all of that. So, another question that comes up. So, in terms of career progression, what happens? So, looking at, you're working as a business change, manager. So, what are the other things that are sort of ahead or somebody could aspire to?
Okay, so there are quite a number of things, right?
Okay.
So when you are a change manager, you can if and you can do okay, let me categorize in the two. Moving ahead as a change manager, you can either still want to stay in the industry or
Okay.
pivot to another industry. If you want to pivot to another industry, one of you can be in pharmaceuticals, you can be in management consulting, um, and you can also still just go to frankly tech. Yeah,
Okay.
because your basic role is actually a business analyst, right?
Mhm.
So you now add change management to it for the business change management. So,
Yeah.
but within the industry, like I said, there are also other possibilities. For example, if you are managing an enterprise development, that's talking about software development.
Yeah.
You can managing an enterprise development, and you have to use a different methodology, which is that's scaled agile framework.
Yeah.
There are quite a number of roles also open to a business change manager,
Mm.
right? There, you could also still from there go to the solution architect route.
Mhm.
You can also, go to like a program director.
Mhm.
Projects are, categorized as projects, programs, then enterprise. Yeah,
Yeah.
the development. So you can also rise as program director and then enterprise architect and all those things. So and you can still lead other BAs in different industries
Okay.
to also you know like grow along that track. So your experience will help you to determine where you want to go to. So
Go. Yeah.
for me, I still want to work even in the financial services, help improve the health insurance or insurance processes. So
Mhm.
usually between health and insurance, technology
Space.
development. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's quite reassuring. That I mean, there are other things that people can sort of look up to in whatever area they are looking at. So, like for me in my area, okay, I did health informatics, so I'm looking at
Hmm.
things around. digital transformation, business transformation, uh,
Mm-hmm.
chief clinical information officer, those type of roles.
Yeah.
So it's nice that on this side too, that we also have other
Mm-hmm.
things that people can look up to, because a
Yeah.
lot of persons usually worry about, what am I going to be stuck in this, for life, or are there other options just in case I want to climb the ladder.
I think
So
the options are vast, and you can always aspire to C-suite roles.
yeah,
Chief
yeah,
Technology Officer is also a role that is quite open to a business analyst,
that's the CTO.
because,
Okay.
yeah, the CTO, yeah. The CTO doesn't need to be a coder or something, but it's somebody who
Mhm.
understands business needs and technology. So yeah, I think the space is quite vast, and people are really needed to um fill the gaps. Will assume, because as a doctor, I am a doctor. We're talking to a lot of health people, so even within the healthcare space, there are vast opportunities. For example, most NHS trusts have innovation hubs.
Yeah.
As such, they support innovation development from their various trusts. And there's also a role for a business analyst there. But
Mhm.
in maybe those innovation hubs, they might call it a different name. It
Name.
might be a consultant, it might just be a business consultant, or just a solution architect and all that. So there are just vast possibilities even within the healthcare space,
Hmm.
or going to pharmaceuticals. There's also possibilities there, because technology, we are in the technology 4.0 phase,
I'm
where
still moving.
I'm still moving. So your expertise will always be needed at different levels, entry level to the board level, really.
Okay. Yeah, that's really cool to know. Just conscious of time, and I usually like asking this one for. I mean, we talked about mentorship a while ago. Are you happy for people to reach out to you for mentorship? Because definitely they are gonna ask me after this episode, how can we get to him? Can he
Mhm.
mentor and all of that? So I'm asking you before I start sending people your way.
Right. Uh, yes, definitely. I'm a product of mentorship, and I would also want to, be able to guide other people,
Hmm.
so that they make right. I mean, not right decisions. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm open to talking to a few people about things that they need to know. Really.
All right. Thank you. So if you're
Yeah.
watching, he's happy to receive your DMs, but just sort of bear in mind that he's also working. So he will reply and talk to you when he can. So you just be a little bit patient with him. So finally, wrapping up. So what do we expect for you in the future? From your area, any cool stuff you're planning?
Uh, well, what you should be looking out for is uh, so my innovation hub dream. Yeah,
Interesting.
so I really want to just have like a massive innovation hub, just developing cool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Just developing cool stuff. Mostly in the healthcare space, really.
Space, yeah.
Because I think we need to. I mean, innovation never stops within the healthcare space, because you have to experience safety of patients. You have to ensure good quality healthcare. So that will always keep evolving. So that's what I want to just sit on the 18th floor in Shad and be developing cool stuff.
That would be quite
Yeah.
interesting, having a hub that is run by somebody with clinical background. I guess that will probably make a lot of difference really in the
Yeah.
type of products we are shipping to market and all of those cool stuff that you mentioned. Well, we'll just be watching out anyway and see what happens and probably bring you back to share the success story about the hub. So it's so interesting speaking with you. I mean, I have a lot of questions, but just conscious of time. Probably invite you to another session to share your stories. So thank you so much for sharing some of your time with us. And if you're watching, please don't forget to subscribe. And yes, we'll see you again on another episode with another interesting career opportunity you might want to consider if you're tired of the bedside. So till I come your way again, I still remain your host, Dr. Ron, and I'd like to say bye for now.